Well, thank you everyone for coming, and thank you to those online for logging in. Appreciate everyone braving the weather and the unexpected demolition of a parking lot that we found out about this morning. That certainly made things a little difficult, and appreciate everyone coming through the back door so we didn't traipse mud and everything through that parking lot that I use the term parking lot loosely because it's a mud bowl right now, which all knows. Thank you for coming. This is the R-22 Twin Peaks Cedarbrook community meeting. Some of you have been here at our previous one, which was in March, but you're all here because either you were later in the mail or you've been forwarded by. You have received it. That's because you're interested in the county system. Likely you update the box or you'll get physical mail addresses using the mountains. I've received a bunch of non-return. If you've got neighbors who didn't know anything about this or whatever, it's usually because when they purchased their property, the escrow agent just put down physical address, and that's what they transmit to the county. You can go online to the county's website and change at the Auditor Tax Controller's webpage and click on the change my address and put in a physical, put in a PO box instead of physical if you're one of those who haven't or if your neighbors haven't. You can also go onto the Special Districts website, which a few of you have, and put in your details of your preferred method of communication, and that email goes directly to me, and I put that on our Excel spreadsheet that I use to communicate. Otherwise, I pull mailing addresses off the PIMS, which is the Property Information Management System, which is what ATC use for your property taxes and so forth. It's the county's main mailing address system. So, because most of you have turned up, you probably had correct mailing addresses in, but some people don't. So, if you know those people, pass it on. So, for those people who are online, we have muted your audio. The only way you'll be able to communicate is through typing. I have someone behind the camera who will take your messages when we get to the questions and answer side of things, and they'll read out your questions. But if you're online and you are trying to talk, you won't be able to. That'll create feedback in this room, and we won't hear anything. So we're doing it as a typing communication one. So introduction. I am Glenn Jacklin. I am the Division Manager of Operations for Special Districts. This is Rudy Guerrero. He is the Regional Manager of Roads, and behind the camera is Jeff Day, our IT expert. Thank you for coming, as I said, and discussing the letter received about increased service charge for your district. A little bit of history. Most of you have probably already read it in the article, but the district formed back in 1989. It had two annexations to what we currently have today. So we have a total of 180 parcels that represent the district. There are 12 streets that make up 12,455 linear feet of roadway. And and each property pays in $100 towards the 180 properties. We have 18,000 annually generated for the management of this district. We're here today because over the years, I believe we've had a few of these meetings prior from my predecessors. This is the second one that I've been in charge of, but we're looking at changing the service charge for the district. It's a two-part one. One is a loan to fix the roads, get them up to a standard, which the other part is an operational maintenance portion, which will be in charge, will be used to maintain the quality of the roads from then on. There's a couple of questions that I know have been asked, and I'll get to those a bit later regarding the two parts of this increase from the $100 to what we're proposing. As property owners, the road is your ownership. I use the term you, it may not be specifically you at the time, but at formation, the owners of the properties then or the property developer built the road, team to manage the road on your behalf. You may be a current owner, you may not have been around formation. Some of you, there's a lot of properties that have changed hands in the last couple of years. There's a lot of properties that have been in people's ownership for right through formation and anything in between. Currently the road standard has been dropping over the years. It has done that because there is basically no money in the district to do more than just snow plowing. That's so potholes haven't been addressed properly unless they've become really dangerous. Minor potholes have been let go until we can get money in the district, or we have a mild winter where we haven't had too many expenses for snow plowing. Part of this letter that we sent out, we identified that to save money for the district, the activation levels have risen. We were activating at 3 inches on the road. Now we're activating at 6 inches to try and save as much money for the major snow events that occur. We don't know what they're going to do each year. Every couple of years we get a really big snow season, and then we have a few dry seasons. The last couple have been dry in comparison. There has been 1 or 2 big storms that have required a lot of work in there. I live in the mountains as well, so not that I get exactly the same snow. As you know, each area gets its own individual snow amounts. You can be, a couple of miles away, get no snow, and one area could be hammered. It's the same with the rains, as you know. They're very pocket-driven in terms of that. So we do custom based off historical data going back through the years. We pull up snowplow invoices, work out how many times that the plow drives into the district, and try and create a historical average, and that's what we're basing a lot of this information on. So the part that you're all here for is, as the survey card, this is a, it's not an official election. We're here right now to try and see what the interest is of the community. I've put 2 options there that we were looking at. The first option is the loan for the road and the O&M operation element, which is the ongoing part, which is designed for the viability of the district moving forward. The loan is a set up to fix the road to a thing, O&M keeps that road up going forward. The reason we're here is because at formation back in the 80s, they set $100 per parcel, which is what you're paying now. They did not include a cost of living element to it. So as prices have gone up over the 30-odd years for the services, the parcel service charge hasn't been kept up with that. So that's why we're here, and that's what we're proposing as option 1. We've been getting to one of the questions we've been asked. It is, can this be a staggered amount? We're going from 100 to the roughly 800 that we're proposing. 2 parts to it, as I said. The loan is a 10-year fixed amount. If we're going to fix the road, we have to do that in one big project. We've spoken before with upper districts and people in this district about maybe we prioritize this road this year and then that road that year. Everyone is in favor of the concept of a staggered approach as long as their road's done first. So that never comes to an amicable solution for everyone. So we've gone for a solution that we've chosen to do every road all at once, and will allow to a standard. And why repair the roads? Yes, I know there's potholes and so forth, but they're starting to fall apart to the extent that our vent are not they're liable for any repairs that they cause damage to the road, to their equipment and to the road. We're coming to a point where some of them are now questioning whether they actually want to bid on this job and do the actual snow plowing. We don't have too many vendors in the mountain that on each area. We have 8 vendors across the whole mountain, all the way from Cedar Pines and all the way through to the other end of the so they just choose their pocket where they're based out of, and so we only have 1 or 2 vendors for this area, 1 vendor for this area who actually put in a bid. So if they choose not to do the work, we're kind of stuck. We don't have anyone to do the work, so we need to work with the vendor. Vendors are vetted by the county. They have bonds for their work. They have insurance that covers their work, so it's not, we can't just use anyone off the street who just chooses to do a plow job. They have to be a recognized company that does the work. Yeah.
And Steve, I live Lookout Drive. Since I've been up there for about 6 years, I've been plowing snow all winter long. So I know what it takes, especially in that neighborhood, because usually I get out there before everybody else. Plow as much as I can. Keep the roads open so that fire personnel can get if they have to. I usually dig out the fire hydrants all around the neighborhood. Usually up 1, 2 blocks at one point. That loader, that piece of equipment that they're using for snow removal is destroying the roads are saturated at that point. The ground underneath is saturated. It comes out of the edge and it just keeps breaking it away. Every single year, it's just throwing away. My neighbor's driveway is completely gone. They push all the snow right in his driveway because it's natural downfall. So that's for the runoff. So you pile the driveway on top. Look at that thing. I mean, that loader weighs like 30 to 50,000 pounds on it. It's 30 to 50,000 pounds. They're kind of getting there with a full bucket. It's just throwing the road off. And I told them last time, I said, hey, don't get so close. There's not much asphalt up there. You're going to be sitting in the backyard. You're going to go down. You can walk down Cedar Road and you can walk my dogs down there and you can see the depressions from the tires all the way down Cedar Road. We're paying the same people to destroy roads, and then we're asking them to repay them when we need them, and it's like, it's just kind of, the cycle's just, like I said, I use a Bobcat, the entire neighborhood with a Bobcat. It might take a little bit longer, but I think for the money they're getting, they don't need to use that loader.
How long do you say it's supposed to take you to do a Bobcat? Just curious.
Well, it would depend, I mean, how much to do the whole neighborhood. I've never done the whole neighborhood. But I can go all the way to Cedar Brook in 20 minutes, 2 swipes, go up to the top and come all the way back down.
Scott Albee, the guy that used to do it, for a lot of you guys to do it. Taking 2 hours to do the whole.
And we can address the vendor on the road, but it's all, if you're not getting to the edge of the roads, I mean, they're not the wide roads.
If anyone of us was driving a 50,000 pound loader down the street, shit.
So we'll talk to the vendor to make sure that's not, but it's still, we've got to get the snow off the road as well. So he needs to keep his wheels on the road and go forward that way. Yeah.
In the county, about the county district.
We can plow, but we'd have to buy a grader. Again, so then we presented to you a different thing to get a grader for the district. We don't know that.
No, I don't mean for us, I mean for the street above.
Is that a DPW road? That's a county road road. So that's their road. The road we're talking about is your roads.
We're talking equipment, not road.
Yeah.
Can you not use their equipment?
We could use their equipment. Cost would be equivalent or higher than what we're looking at with the vendor.
County don't put it under for their roads. So for us to use something of theirs, they have to be done there first.
So Tiger would say we'd get it second.
Second time.
It seems like we're the taxpayers, the guys that are up on the upper street, they're the taxpayers. Property tax that they pay, property tax that we pay is basically the same, but we have to take care of our own roads because somebody made some kind of a decision back in the 80s, that wasn't really beneficial to the group of people that are sitting here in our district. I think we should go to the board of supervisors and say, look, it's time for you to step up and take care of the roads just like you do in this other area. I mean, why should we have to take it? You know, I look at that thing there, and for my properties, it's going to cost me $34,000 over 10 years. And where's the money? Where's the loan coming?
It comes from a county maintained line, so that's why you can do with it 3%.
You're taking our tax dollars and you're going to loan it back to us and charge us interest to fix the roads that are in the county of San Bernardino, paid for by the taxpayers.
The roads are private.
Private.
Well, you guys are covering to the road, and you've hired through either yourselves, if you were here back in the 80s, or through the people who owned the property beforehand, have hired special districts to manage the road on your behalf. You guys own the road. That's why the two options are, you can't take
We don't own the road.
You own the rights to the road. This road is a private road that you ask special.
So can we
Yeah,
hold it on?
Property owners, full-time people that live out there, we could reconsider that.
We don't
I'm saying that the property owners, so the 10 full-time people that live in the area that surround the center. Even some of the ones who annexed in since it originally started, the ones that were annexed in were never approved, never discussed, we could have gone into it. Not saying anything about all these other people that are involved, but still, that means you guys are this problem. We have the board of supervisors.
well, that's good. So the steps that this, so show of hands, if there's an interest in one option over the other, at the moment, the responses that I've received, 21 people have said yes, 8 people have said no, and I have 15 undelivered envelopes because they haven't updated their address. The previous one we did in March, 50 people said yes, 25 said no, and 35 were undeliverable. So sort of similar ratio at the moment. Not as many people have responded, but the deadline to hand these in, mail these in, these self-addressed envelopes is November 17th. So express a yes or a no. If it's there's a spot on the card for you to write your opinion either way, expressing yes or no, and what your view is. And then once the process is, once I've collated them all, it's not a November 17th, and I got them all over. It's just because mail's late and I'm giving everyone a chance to get in. The survey card's the best way to get in, but if you even email me that says, yes, I got it, I will take it any method you can, because it's a show of hands and I just need as many people responding to me with their opinion as possible. It would be great if I had 180 people in this room and represent everyone in the district. And we're looking at just 20 here and 3 or 4 online at the moment. So we're not even a quarter represented in this room. But so what happens is, if it is a yes vote, I then move to what's called a Proposition 218 letter. It will outline pretty much everything that was in the letter that you've already received. But the most important part is it indicates a board date where the Board of Supervisors will listen to what's being proposed and listen to all the comments by the community. It's called a majority protest hearing. It's a public hearing. A letter will outline the steps involved for you to express your opinions of the Board of Supervisors. They will read out all responses that are, or enter into the record all responses that are, you are a yes, you don't need to do anything. But if you have all those notes into the record, and then the Board of Supervisors, we move forward with a formal vote, which will entail, then I would send out another 5 to 6 pages letter that has the actual formal vote on the end, where you express a yes or a no on that one, and it's done very similar to a standard election. You'll be given, it's a 45-day window from when the board is a majority protest to when the actual election closing date is. And you have, through that time, she was set 5 p.m., like 45 days after the board vote, so that that's when it's officially done. And then, depending on the outline, will depend on what the board will direct us to do next. Yes?
My understanding of what you said is that you won't get a meeting in front of the board unless there is a majority yes. If there is a majority no, can we still not? Because mainly, it's because we don't have options. You're not giving us options. And there are options out there. And it can be done, but you're saying if there is a no vote, then it's all disbanded, there'll be no meeting with the board.
The board will make the decision whether it's disbanded or not. So if we move forward.
Is there a meeting with the board afterwards? Either way.
Yes, that's the, depending on the interest of this one will depend on where I move next. Just based off the numbers that I've received so far, I'm going to be moving forward as if it's a yes vote. That will set up the Proposition 218, and that letter will outline the steps to express to the board opinions on no. If you're a yes, you don't have to do anything in front of the board at that date, but that 45-day period, which is after the letter is mailed, so everyone has enough time to follow the steps and express their opinion of their no to the board, and that board date will be outlined in that letter, and you can, they only require a written response, but you can come to the board, and there's a 3-minute window that public comments as well, and you're allowed to comment at that time too. The board then will make a decision whether to direct Ruby and I towards an election to vote on the opinions, or to disband, or they may have another opinion which they come up with based off views expressed by people in this room, or not in this room, but members of this.
How on earth would they know our condition, that we were bamboozled when we bought our properties, that we were into a special district? How would they know our condition if they weren't in a special district in our situation that we're in right now?
So there's 3 methods.
No, the supervisors will not know.
Well, there's
our situation.
There's 2 methods to let the supervisor know. One is you call your field director, and his name is Mark, and you can express to him he's the field director or the supervisor. He is the direct conduit to get into the supervisor's office. The second one is to pursue this right supervisors, which goes through the or attend the meeting and express your opinion that way. And so that gets, you actually get directly in front of the board of supervisors, or you get to their field record and express that.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying to the point, we're sitting in a particular situation where you're saying we're going to have to spend $800 some a year to have our house. I mean, I have a property that's laying, the taxes that I pay on that house and the taxes I pay on this house in the district are basically equal or something, right? And those roads are maintained by the county because of the gas tax that's collected, and that's how that money is allocated to the county for maintaining the road. Now, we pay, again, I mentioned this the last meeting, we pay the same gas tax. So why couldn't we keep our receipts then and say, okay, here's how much gas tax I paid, you go ahead and allocate that to do the road maintenance, and why could we have money than we do on the block away?
Well, the difference, you guys, Rudy and I do not receive any gas tax money to do we receive everything from the districts to do the service for the districts. You had a question?
Yes, I do. So before we have an opportunity to vote or even to submit our opinion, do we have access to the budget in terms of what's going to be going to the like implementation schedule and interest over the period?
Yes, I can.
Was that mailed or?
No, I posted on our website, so it'll be available.
I had a question, because
Question.
I didn't know what happened, I'm new here, so I didn't know what happened before the eight. The first one is, the people that Dr. thinks returned, they're not getting their property taxes?
Usually happens in those scenarios, they, when they bought the property, just put down the physical address. They've never gone on to do, and they're doing impounding, so they never actually see their property tax. I think they just know through their escrow accounts that they're paying their property and so forth. So they are paying their taxes and everything. They just don't know they don't get if you've got it, or if you do your own impoundment or you go through the escrow agency.
At the end of the work, soon as the cost is, how is that accounted for?
So the $500 and a few dollars, what we came up with for the loan to do the work is rooting out my best estimates on what we think the cost of the project will be. We put in, we looked at upper ends of costs and so forth, and we based it all on that. So we estimated that the total of the road for all that 2 miles worth of road and width is about $850,000. If, and it looks like, you know, there was like inflation, looking like we might have a serious downturn. If those costs, let's say, comes in a lot lower, whatever it comes in at, that amount or less, we have to eat the costs of those things, but if it comes in that amount or lower, then the loan for that project is less.
What do you need?
And then we need, sorry, wrong expression, but the road will get built and the, it'll be done and the amount will be that amount. It will stay at for the loan 500.
Pick up the remainder.
The county will pick up the remainder based on it, because you guys are the owners of it.
Well, we don't
Because
want.
we're, we don't want,
And then that number comes in. So if the loan, we guessed that it would come in at $850,000 for the cost of the project. It's through the loan through the county, 3%. Right now, that's a great deal. It's about half what you get if you actually try to do it through a private industry. They're charging 6 or 7 for those kind of things. But if it came in at, you know, I say that if it came in at $800, $50,000 comes off the cost, and the loan's based off that. So the 510 might be 490. I don't know. I'm just making those numbers up off my head because I haven't scheduled it out. But your loan for the 10 years will be done at that one. So when you ask, can't we spread that out, you know, stagger the costs? The loan cannot be staggered. It has to be the amount to do the road spread over 10 years with a 3% interest rate.
Second one.
Yes.
So, what's the maintenance charge? Looked at any projections about any additional charges for that.
No, so
They don't need to know.
so we set this.
If they buy in, they're not buying up more.
So we set up the O&M to factor in service on the road moving forward. So with that, the exact amount we're proposing is $268.42. Once you start paying into that, you've got a brand new road. So in theory, you have minimal potholes to deal with, cracks to deal with in the first part of the road. As we move forward, we'll start repairing those as they appear to try and keep the road at the same level of quality. And then as we get through that period, once we start looking about 10 or 12 years, we'll put enough money into the bank that we can start doing a chip seal on the road and keep it at this level so that in theory, because we'll keep the road to this standard, you'll not be asked to do a loan and start afresh.
Well, from a maintenance standpoint, forward, have you factored in creating a cost of living adjustment
For future maintenance.
Yes, that's,
That's basically a staggered idea built into the future. We don't have to use it.
Yes.
an inflationary factor is factored in so that this year it's at 2%, and so it moves. So part of when we factored the OIM that we're coming up with now is working out what the cost of living increase from when the district formed. Some years it's been high, it's been over the average about 3%, and it came to a similar amount of what we've been proposing for the road on the OIM. So as part of that OIM is to create a fund balance to keep the road repaired 15 years. And we're not looking at and they're not doing major work to the road. A complete grinding and repaving, which is what we need to do right now to get it a base level that we're starting at and moving forward into perpetuity.
Is it a grind and retake or a remove and retake? Because to me, it sounds like it was complete removal, but it's.
No, it's a grind.
So
We'll grind it down all
use that as our breach.
And is there curves like there is in Arrowhead Woods?
If there's a curve there right now, which I don't think there's any in this district, then we don't do curves. When curves are done, we change the flow, and if it missed your house, but now it goes to his house, your house gets washed out, yeah, and we
the
change.
We will do the development, will be engineered, and anything that's had historical flow, we'll keep it the same, and anything that's had problems, like before, like this heated with the little 4-inch drain, we'll address all that right there.
But we grade it so that it sheets up, it doesn't run, and then direct up that way.
Did we own the roads before the 80s? Did we own it before?
The property. Yeah.
It's always been.
There's roads that.
And so the property developer or the community got together in the 80s and said, special districts, we'd like to form a thing, get the road paved, use you as the loan to build the road, and then can you look after it?
For the 80s constructed roads?
Yes.
You had a question?
My understanding that that we put into special districts go into a big special district, all the money goes into.
We have a district just for R-22. All the money that goes into R-22 is spent on R-22. It's not a big pot, and then we take a little bit out for this district, and if that district needs a little more this year, we take it out now.
How you guys might feed it.
No.
The other thing is, the loan, that's going to include a $30,000 survey so that we know where to put the asphalt.
It's, we have a survey that does the road properly. We can't do the road project without being surveyed.
You can't just put asphalt on top of the asphalt.
No.
It'll come along.
No, it's not like because we're trying to create the road to survive. If we overlay those cracks and everything, right back through.
This road right over here.
And we're going to end up in a similar state again in 10 years, coming and asking again. If you want to look online, we'll get a few questions from online if they have any. So if you're online and you want to type in a few questions, I'll get to you in just a minute. So type them in and we'll get them read out so I can answer some of your questions. But I'll keep talking within the room.
So the only way that, if we wanted to just say, this starts charging $300 or $400 a year for everybody and making our budget 4 times the amount, and then slowly repairing the roads or repair the roads, potholes with that, and plow snow, and then take a section of road. We have to decide which is worse.
No, but everybody's gonna want.
That's a lot better.
But the road's already in disarray.
And there's, yeah, as I said, good in here.
That's the problem we run into.
Okay, but can people that want a $400 thing and know not in this big loan, the loan is costing lots of money.
The loans for survey. So the loan is amounts to $500 per year for 10 years. So for $5,000 per parcel over a 10-year period, you're getting a brand new road that will be set up for perpetuity. So for,
Is there a possibility that we can just vote on raising the dues to 400 and not doing the rest?
then we won't have services and so forth in there.
Why not? Because, you know, I drove over every inch of this road this last weekend. The area that I went through, particularly Cedar Brook, is not in quote disarray. It is potholes. You go down Chipmunk has got one pothole in it. There's nothing wrong with Chipmunk. Your major roads that need repair are La Casita is in disarray, I agree. Iris is in disarray, I agree. But not every road needs to be tore up and redone. It's just not necessary.
It may not be necessary to do every road, but once we do the two roads that you mentioned, and the other people that are involved in the taxation, they're not going to feel that it's fair to them.
Therefore, raise everybody up to 300 or 400 and work it with that. But there's got to be another option.
Can we vote 3 things?
I
The
mean,
vote has to be set up as a yes or a no, so we got to come to, that's CSA law for voting.
yes,
No, says who?
Yes, CSA law, that's what we're governing.
okay.
It's county law that governs what we're doing. So that, these steps that I've outlined on the Rudy right, and this is how we'd like to process. This is how we're directed by our legal counsel to do something for you. The person who makes those decisions is CSA.
We've had these meetings, no money for like the past 5 or 10 years. I recall about 4 or 5 or 6 years ago, you guys had like 4 options. One of them was like he had, one was a little bit better than. We've had those options before, but they're not bringing in enough money.
Don't know what previous people did. I look back in files and they haven't kept good detailed stuff that I've seen, but I'm going by what council has directed, passed on what's CSA law and so forth. But we all have the right to express your opinions and get heard in front of the people who make the decision, which are the board. And it's not Ruby and I making this decision. So we're doing what the law, as far as our legal counsel tells us how we do this process. You have, and I know you've been in front of the Director of Public Works and expressed your opinion. You are able to get in front of the Board of Supervisors. They have many methods to express your opinion and suggest ideas and so forth. That's why, you know, this is survey card is a show of hands. If you have an opinion, though there isn't a lot of space, there is the ability, if you look on the letter, I have my email address and phone number on the bottom. You are more than welcome to call or email me. If it's, you know, if you can't fit much on that little space, but you can email me as long an email as you want, and I will read and respond. You know, if you said, I'm open to speak with everyone.
I don't even disagree with what you're saying, but the CSA district that you're talking about, I have a contract that's good from 2020 to 2025 in regards to road repair, and attachment A calls the CSA 70 district improvement zones. They call it CSA 70G, which is right road, CSA 70 R2, which is Twin Peaks road maintenance, CSA 70 R9 Green Forest, which is road maintenance, and CSA 70 R-22 Twin Peaks road maintenance. These all fall under the single contract to Scott Bennett from September 15, 2020 to June 30, 2025. So how can you sit there and tell us that, no, we're just doing our own area? Because that's not where the
So that contract, he's holding these snowplow contracts every 5 years.
every 5 years.
Special district goes out and seeks bids for their contracts. The contract is between the vendor and special districts, and then this district here uses the services through that contract to do justice there. So in answer to that question, only your district is paying the vendor for their time in this district. The vendor has done a bid for multiple areas, for single areas. He has a contract in this area that shows that vendor there. So the vendor bid on several different districts. They do not charge, the other district gets their bid for their work that's done in that district. This district gets their own, charges for the service in that one.
This district doing this high dollar loan and the others are not apparently.
That's a contract for snowplow services.
No, it's a contract for road service.
Yes.
Yeah.
Snow, potholes and so forth. It's the,
You have 3 separate contracts, one for on-call pavement repair and service. You have snowfall removal, and you also have one for tree trimming, removal and service.
there are services that do stuff within the county and coordinated through special districts. And so when trees go down, for example, in your district, we get a contract with this for tree stuff.
Ever.
Who's what?
Who would that have been at any time in the past?
Who's the vendor for tree?
Name one.
Fortis Tree.
You think?
Fortis Tree, it's in the, so I can get you a copy of that, like a Delta C.
So I think that ice storm that we had, where maybe branches fell on the road and stuff, when we first used the tree guide, and I think we paid $14,000.
Yeah, we had a vendor come into that one, because that was a really bad.
We've been saving money and penny pinching for the last 10
How could
years.
you be saving money when we're broke?
Well, that's the thing. We're not keeping any money, we're trying to,
Was there any questions on that?
trying to save that. We've brought in Cal Fire in the past to do a lot of free stuff for us, but that service is no longer available to us because they installed it.
So did I violate anything by filling a pothole in front of my house?
Well,
So how much does survey cost?
these cards,
Yeah, just the mailing.
just mailing, we have a cheap rate for the stamps and just we printed everything in generally, so.
Well, then plus wages and so on and so forth, is that a $10,000 thing?
No, it was probably,
That's the other thing.
$500-600 at most.
Because I was just thinking, I mean, if we have some potholes, if they would supply, I'll work. I mean, if I own the damn road, like I am part owner of the water company, I do work for the water company, I will work in the road. I'll fill a pothole if I can avoid spending $36,000 over a 10-year period. See, I mean, if you lived here and you were sitting here listening to the fact that we're gonna have to pay extra money, even though we pay gas tax, we pay our property tax. It's we didn't know we were getting into this long term. When the guys originally set this up, let them sit here tonight and see what happens by the decisions they made in 1984, whenever it was.
Yeah, I mean,
Here's what happened.
we were at that time, but
1989, there were 77 parcels formed. In 1995, an additional 127 parcels. And then in 2002, 14 additional parcels were added, which comes to the 180 parcels total. So there were 3 separate parcels.
Afraid that add-on?
No.
And
Original, how many was the original one?
77.
Mostly on the secret, and the other one out. But then again, I want to bring it up again. Robert Ritter said, if we ever get to that populace, full-time people there, the county would take it over the road repairs, the snow plow, everything, if we had full-time residents. I haven't heard you talk about
yeah, I can't tell you what somebody promised you back then. I don't
it. For how many people live full-time in an area, that's not the tax.
So I've been told the only way a road will be taken over by public works is if it's built to the standards of the public works.
Fair Springs Road, it's a special district road. That's a county maintained road, and that is not a full width county road.
There might have been an exception dug to the road, you know that. and it might have been somebody-
I'm not trying, I'm not putting a burr under the saddle. I'm saying there are other roads that the county maintains and does the work on, and they're not full width roads. Lake Forest, I have a property on Lake Forest, Cedar and Lake Forest. My neighbor's bathroom is in the road. I mean, the road is where it is, but the point is that up here, you can't go by the standards that they do for a planned urban development down the hill or out in the high desert or wherever. This is unique up here.
So the question is, you guys represent us as homeowners and as road owners. Why cannot you propose a grandfathering in from the county board and with the stroke of a pen, make us county?
We've proposed to it. We have brought what you said. You were in the meeting, we're in that too. We proposed, that has been brought to the people at Public Works and they're like, no, this road, these roads do not.
It's got to be above public works. You got to be the board of supervisors.
But we can't advocate, and that's next, but you can. That is, well, that's the board are there for you guys. So that's your field rep, Lewis Murray, your an email board supervisors, you can go to their meetings and have your 3 minutes and propose that it's brought on as an agenda item. You have all these avenues open to you.
What do you think? What's your chances?
A community that gets together and does things can achieve anything. It's a community that doesn't get together. Individuals don't achieve change. Groups of like-minded people achieve change. And that's not just talking about, we're talking about in general.
Yes, I understand that there's undeliverable. It's 2020. Should box and a mail system up here, I agree with that. But the point is can we get a mailing list so that we can rally the troops, so to say, and make a concerted effort to go down to the county board of supervisors?
Anyone can request a property owner's mailing list from the county. You go on the ATC website, ATC, which is Auditor Tax Controller. So if you go to the San Bernardino .gov website, look down towards the bottom where it says departments, you choose Auditor Tax Controller or ATC, and there's a link where you can request, and they have a PDF that you fill out and send back to them, and you can request a geographical area, and you define the barriers, the borders of what you're looking for.
Those envelopes that you have there, Ted, you
I
know,
requested.
we could go through our system at the water company, and we probably could align almost every one of those to a real address.
These are physical addresses, that's why they've been returned.
Like I say, but we have that database at the water company, so we probably could be able to align those.
Why don't
And a lot of these are in the,
why do you not have PO boxes on yourself? I mean, you're sitting out, we're being charged for all these things that you're supposedly, the legal notices, carrier and printing, we're being charged for that. Street maintenance, other professional services, salaries of beneficials, service and supply trans, advanced delivery. We're being charged an awful lot of stuff that is outside our little neighborhood to make things happen. So if we're being charged for that, why don't you have the PO boxes?
people haven't put them in the system. I
Of course they get mail, of course they have.
I've gotten every single flyer from Friday for the last 6 years, every week, like clockwork. They don't have PO box, you get stuck in there because it's email. You can target, if I want to go there and send out an ad for my business, I can target any area I want, the post office will deliver.
I pull the address from the county PIN system, and that's the mailing address that I got.
The county what?
The county PINs, Property Information Management System, that's where it sits.
Okay, why don't you go to the property taxes?
I get that.
That's where everybody gets billed, the property tax, and get the PO boxes that address everybody that lives here. Because I guarantee you, when I walk the neighborhood, I ran into a lot of people that haven't received this.
Okay, I'm one of the ones that used to get it.
Mhm.
And I think when I combined my two lots, that transaction switched it to something else. We have to pay our taxes. Remember, this is tax day, we better go check how much tax.
So when
We
you,
don't get a tax.
when you combine property, whoever ran the escrow or whatever would have written with your details, the PO box, because you've got your existing PO box situation because you're already there and you combine.
I'm not
New owners,
I'm not getting any new letters, and I think that's why.
But you get,
And I'm not sure, no, I'm not getting the mail.
you're not getting the mail.
We have to go and see, ask how much is my tax.
No, I understand that, but I mean.
so that's right, like going on the, what is the tax controller website again and doing change my address and changing your details to a physical, from a physical to a mailing address. I cannot change your details on the website because then I can change, anyone can go on and change it to do any other issues they wanted to get entity from.
You can't go to the tax office.
I can't change your details. I am unable, and you would want me to be able to change your details.
Not change ours. They mail our tax. That's the address you want to mail things to. I'm just gonna get-
Well,
We change, we call what either you personally or escrow or whoever did the stuff when you, on your lot, what they put into the system. If you've gone on since that date and changed your address with the audited tax controller, then we get whatever's your most current address that you have put in the system.
It sounds like it matters to someone if there's a certain percentage of full-time people.
That's nothing that, I don't know what the supervisor said back in the 80s, but I can talk to you. That's not what my
That's to be record. That's to be record. We went into an agreement.
I'll go back and look at all the paperwork.
It's an agreement, so that was only for the original 77 or where it was when we started. Yep.
I can print the formation documents are actually, if they're not, I can make sure they're online on this district in this thing and you can.
So when this meeting, you guys report back to the county board of supervisors?
No, I report to my superiors who go up towards the CEO of the county. Makes it the.
What is it, the board?
So the CEO and the board of supervisors meet and talk. We're on the CEO side of the flow chart. The field rep or the supervisor, Lewis Murray, is on the board. He reports directly through the supervisor that way.
Do you have the time they meet down there, San Diego?
It's basically every second Tuesday, 10 a.m. what changes. I can get you those exact dates.
You have to get it, you have to be on the agenda in order to
So
speak.
you get a 3-minute plug, you get a sign in.
You're not actually not allowed to speak in the 3-minute section if it's on the agenda. You speak when off the agenda. So when it's on the agenda, you it's a different method, but you can go
That's
to.
how we got formed to begin with, with Barber River. That's how we got started. We rolled the roads. That's how we went down.
Any questions?
Put our request, put our name in, spoke for a little bit. Next thing you know, it's gonna cost you $100 a year for taxes. And fine, that's good. Everybody agreed to it. Shook hands, did all the stuff. We wrote up paperwork. And gave everybody a little certificate. You're part of our district.
Did you know?
And as he said, once you get past that 70 mark, 70% full-time residents in this area, then the county can look at how you step it in.
Is it made in like a formal setting so that there'd be minutes of it? Or is
It
it-
depends. We were down slow to get this done. Yeah.
So I'm just trying to find where I can look at that information. Was it like a board meeting or was it
We went down and petition. Yeah. We filled out a little regard, speak. There's about 8 of us went down there, spoke.
and that was the full formation? Was that the full, obviously the full formation? Like a year before? Because I'm trying to narrow down this window because there's a lot of paperwork to look through.
89, I think is what it was. Probably 88 we started.
Okay, I'll look in those to try and see if I can see anything that's.
Did you do the same thing to get the annexation in
No,
19? You didn't know about 2202? I'm president get annexed into a community without a vote from the people or knowledge of it.
Because
Does that happen?
the annexed properties are being charged the same amount and is deemed to have the same costs.
I'm not talking about the charity.
The question was, how did they get in?
I had to get in, they petitioned, sorry, I missed that. They petitioned like a new district would be formed. So really, they get requests, people saying, I'd like to have form a special district. If, for example, they've got common borders with an existing one, we would look into it to see if what their service charges would be similar to an existing district. And if the costs are going to be commensurate, then we form a bigger district so that we can keep the cost down because it's a.
And that's your decision.
Well, we pass into the experience.
People have no knowledge of it at all. That's what you just said. I believe that they were in the boundaries of your area, within the CSA boundaries, and they weren't getting charged, either they weren't developed at the time. And then once they did become developed, that's when they got.
That was like 10 years, 15 years down the road.
Yeah.
Well, then, why didn't you charge 2 or 3%?
I don't think back in the day, the people that were doing that were thinking that when they were charging the one, they weren't thinking that the longevity of the district. They were thinking that maybe you guys were turning, sprouting into a city or something.
Yeah, because
So I don't think they were looking far enough down the road to see that it's going to go in the environment.
The balance you speak of was the annexations were outside of the existing original 77. They were not inside. And the addition in 2021 or 2002 was way the hell on the side, those 10 houses out in
Violet.
Bible. Yeah.
so
Who thought that was a good idea?
Right next door to us.
But they're not on there, they're not connected.
well, we thought it was a good idea to the property owners and the board of supervisors passed there. They voted on it and they approved it. So it's
Without,
If we're gonna have a two-part vote, why can't we have, option A is a maintenance program and option B to dissolve? Why do we have to vote only on a faceted project we don't want?
you said you don't want it, but there's a lot of people who say they do want it. That's why.
Yeah, we get another option.
But that's why, well, we've received a lot of communication, but that's why this is here. This is why if you have an opinion, which you do, write down on that. If it's bigger than you can fit on this, write it to me as an email. I can print it out and attach it to all the documents so that with this information, an informed decision can be made for the district. If you just tell me that it's not acceptable, all I get is a no, not acceptable. We don't have, we have options like, can you think of something else? I don't have other options that are viable at the moment. If you have options and you think that they're viable, let's get them out there. This is what the community meeting's about. It's expressing opinions.
what will you do with that? Because I wrote up some online.
I saw you come in just the other day. I got in my thing.
Because I don't know how it turns into a note on a card and then ends up on the option list. So right now, we don't have an option. And that's our view. There are options out there. You're not presenting us, and you not just put this nonsense off until we have maybe gather some information and create options and then address us. His idea of splitting it up was we got 3 areas: tree trimming, snow plow, and road maintenance. That can easily be put into 3 separate things. And
So here's what I'm led to believe. This is my second meeting with you guys. Last one was in March. We're up to like meeting number 6 proposing this. And for the last 10 or so years, it's been a community meeting. Too many, no one's laid down and said, these are your options. This is what we got to choose on. We have a community meeting and it leaves with, there's too many options that there's so much to present on. We sat down and looked at everything we've seen that we've found over there and said, these are the options. We're presenting to you because we think they're the best options for you. If you don't think they're the best options, we've been going over as a district, and maybe not you personally, but some of you I know, been going over this for quite a long time, and no one actually has come to it and said, let's make a choice. We keep discussing multiple options. So if you have something very concrete, Sid, that you think we should do, get out there and say, I think we'll say, hey, this is what we've got to come to a decision. Otherwise, I'm going to be here again next June and going, same meeting, same answers, same comments, and the roads are falling even further and further apart. We need to say, are we going to do it or are we not going to do it? Because it needs to be done, as most of you have agreed to.
Are you getting pressure from above to say it's not bad as on? Are you getting something from above?
No,
It's not making any sense.
yeah, I mean, if all the districts vote no and go away, that needs to be fixed in this one, you're not the only district. There's a lot that were formed in the 80s that weren't formed with an inflationary. If districts go away, Rudy and I go away. We don't just go to a desk and sit there and put a lot of funds. We are employed by you. Our job is reliant on these districts being viable. So we have a vested interest in making these districts work, keeping the districts going, where a special district isn't only there at the whim of the residents who have created this district. So if one district went away, doesn't mean that we go away exactly because there's 50 road districts, but we're not like, you're looking at us going, you're just trying to pull one over us. We're vested in your interest as well. We are your representatives.
It's not just us. You're invested in about 3 or 4 other special districts.
Yeah, we're trying to make all of these districts work. We're charged, our job is charged to make these districts viable.
And the accounting law goes through it as well. So the money we put into our, quote, special district also goes into a pot with the other special districts.
No, it doesn't. The charge that we're looking at, so because you are your own special district, you are charged by law, this CSA law, you have to be audited every 2 years to make sure that money is not being wasted. So the county does an audit, an independent auditor audits your district every year. That's what, if you go on the board of supervisors websites and you see the budgets and all that, they are officially audited budgets. So when you talk about the annexation, why is it good to annex 3 districts into one instead of having 3 separate districts? Because there'd be 3 separate audits, all charged the same amount of that. So
$13,000 a year probably or more, right?
it's every 2 years, it costs about, is what the audit has to be done. If they're a high-risk district, which these aren't, we're talking about, throughout the whole county, this is a policy that goes through all districts, not just special districts. So we're part of an audit group, where each road district is audited every 2 years.
For what amount?
And it's about $1,000 to audit every 2 years.
1,000?
Just 1,000. Because there's not many line items in this district, there's not much revenue, there's not much things to look at. So an audit on these districts is very quick.
Now, on our private roads, we have Vertec or mountain disposal running through all the roads with big trucks fully loaded. We have Robertson's Ready Mix running on our roads full. We have UPS trucks going in and out constantly, day and night.
Edison trucks.
Well, Edison and R and all the different. Yeah. So when you look at each and every one of these men in this room, the vehicles that we're driving on the roads that we're talking about would do very minimal, if any, damage to the road. But those big trucks, they're doing all the damage to the roads. And perpetuity is not, you've used that word, but that's not a good term because that's how we ended up here. Because the guys that set it up, they thought it was going to go into perpetuity and it didn't.
Well, I can't think of them, but I was thinking about it recently. Why, it's so logical right now that we're looking at 8%, 9% inflation, so we're all thinking inflation. But when inflation's been low, I don't know what they were doing at the time, were they not thinking inflation? This is what we came up with in the last couple of months. A lot of but a lot of one of the co-workers who does all the water and sanitation stuff, he says we're in the business of going out of business. We create a special district to try and set you up and have you grow up to become a city or something like that. So he does water districts and he expects them to grow so big that they become their own water entity and they move away from special districts. A lot of these road districts are small and haven't, they've remained as small road districts. But
We have
there's no
our-
city of Twin Peaks, there's just a community of Twin Peaks.
We have our own water company, and we know the cost of operations. You have to always figure that, okay, you try to keep it as close to the bone as possible, but every year, there's more regulation, there's more liability and so on and so forth, and you have to either raise the rates or cut something to keep it, to balance it out. I just think that it's important for us we need to rally the troops, go to the county, get the county to take care of the roads because we're paying the same taxes as the guy a block away.
And then the communities get things done, the individuals don't. So we're trying to be to present this option. If you don't like that option, which some of you don't, some of you do, you express your opinion on the survey card, with a yes or no. If you've got an opinion that requires length to the writing, that survey card is not the ideal. You have my email address listed at the bottom, gjacklin@std.sdcounty.gov. My phone number's there too, and you can write as long or as short a detail of what you are proposing. But as I said earlier, we've gone round and round for many years. We need to come up with something and say, this is what we agree on. Let's move it forward and create something. What you've got in front of you is what we've come up with as our best for the district. If, as a district, you think there's something better, you got to get that information, and that's what we've got to move forward with. And it has to be concrete. It can't be just, I don't like this, I need, we've come up with what we think is concrete. And if you disagree with it, which some of you do, as I said, concrete stuff to say, let's do this instead. I think this is a better proposal. And that's certainly what we look forward to that. And come up with something so that we can make a choice. We need to make a choice. Otherwise, we're back here, as I said, in June, still having the same arguments going, what are we going to do to vote on? We need
Not
to
necessarily arguments as much as questions.
Yeah.
Because you've done a really good
Arguments
job.
mean
Both of you have done a
opposing
really good
opinions,
job
but
of making a
yeah.
presentation.
We're on your side, but yes.
I feel that, I really do. I just think that we might have to hire you to advocate for us to get us into the county road department.
Give me a job with someone else because in my current job, I'm not allowed to, for or against. Yeah.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah, this is gonna be very interesting.
Voting.
Voting.
Election.
I think, trying to.
So, I mean, so we're coming towards the end. So I think I've answered a lot of questions. A lot of them are going to be just repeats.
Is there anything on the line?
No,
No?
There's only 3 people still.
4 total, they came and go.
Okay. If you haven't returned a survey card, return it. If you get a survey card, call me and email me. Even if you text message me and say stuff, I'll take a screenshot and put it in this. This is not a formal vote. This is just a raise of hands. This is getting a view of the district. So it doesn't matter how you get me your opinion. Get me your opinion so that I can add it to the collection of answers and say, this is what we're at. If it's a differing opinion with a detailed concrete thing, I will attach that information to the show of hands because we want to move forward and we want to get something that works for you guys.
Isn't that the same card?
That was the same one last time, just different dates.
It's just like,
Yeah. So when I compile these, I'm going to look at both mailings and there's so far, if I add them both together, there's 71 yeses and 32 no's. I'm going to look through, I won't just add them up and see, individual responses so that it might be, there's a maximum of 50 yeses and a maximum of, well, not a maximum because I don't know yet, but some of the others didn't vote the first
If we found the address, we knew the person's address, it would get delivered to, or are we allowed to keep them?
Yes. Yeah.
Are we allowed to send them?
Yeah.
Do you have any more information?
What's that?
Do you have any more information?
No, I can post them on the website.
Okay. So, what was the special district?
Yes. Give me just